Hey guys, it's Asher, and today we're going to talk about the 5 least used items in League of Legends. There are already a lot of items in League, and even more are being added in the preseason. With this many items, some are bound to fall through the cracks. Some don't have a good design niche, and some, like Riot's video claiming they don't think their champions have overloaded kits, are just heavily disliked. In this video, we'll talk about the 5 least popular items right now in League of Legends, and surprisingly, 2 of them are the highest win rate items in the game. At number 5, with a 3.6% pick rate, we have Watchful Wardstone, the support-only item that transforms into Vigilant Wardstone to level 13. This item has the distinction of having the highest win rate for a completed item in the entire game, at 67%. In my opinion, this is the best item in the game in terms of stat efficiency. I really have a crush on it. It is the cheapest legendary item in the game that you can buy that gets your mythic passive increase straight away. For 1100 gold, you get 150 HP and 10 ability haste. You get the ability to hold 3 pink wards and have 2 placed on the map at the same time. However, once you hit level 13, the item transforms and you gain 5 more ability haste, but much more importantly, you get what I call the Baby Deathcap passive. At this point, it gives you a 12% bonus based off 4 stats: your ability haste, your bonus attack damage, your ability power, and your bonus hit points. That usually means you get at least double the value of the cost of this item. In some scenarios, this item is downright abusive. Here's a preview of just how abusive it can get from an upcoming video. So why doesn't everyone buy this item? Well, you really want to be level 13 before you get it, and a lot of supports just never get there. You won't really buy this as a second item, so you need to buy it third, and there are no components. So you need to save 1100 gold, which can be hard to come by as a support that late in the game. For that reason, this item is often bought by people who are snowballing, which is partially why the win rate is so high. However, if you are playing a support, you need to highly consider buying this item when you meet the prerequisites. Not only is it extremely good for the other reasons I mentioned, but it's one of the few items in the game where the stats increase as you buy more items. It's the no man's sky of items, and that it keeps in good inning as time passes. The 5 highest win rate champs with Wardstone are Maokai, Rell, Braum, Rakan, and Lulu, who all win more than 72% of the time when they complete this purchase. Now we go from one of the best items in the game to one of the worst. If Wardstone is the No Man's Sky of today, Maw of Malmortius is the No Man's Sky of release date. The Maw has a 3.3% pick rate with a 56% win rate. But wait, Asher, isn't a 56% win rate really good? The answer is yes, if it's for a champion. Everyone plays a champion, so one has to win and one has to lose. Late game completed items like Maw of Malmortius are always win percent inflated because winning teams complete more items. So if you were losing, maybe this stays a Hex Drinker, but if you were ahead, you might take the luxury of finishing it. Maw gives you 50 attack damage, 15 ability haste, 50 magic resist, and it has a passive that gives you a shield that absorbs magic damage when you drop below 30% health. The biggest problem with the Maw is that it doesn't fill a good niche. If you are an ADC, you don't want Hex Drinker or this item. You would much rather build Wit's End if you need to defend against magic damage. If you are a bruiser, you absolutely hate that this item's passive is a lifeline passive, so you can't use it with Sterix Gauge at the same time. Sterix is such a superior item to this that the comparison is laughable, which is why Sterix is picked in 57% of games, and this is picked in only 3. The 5 champions with the highest win rate on Maw of Malmortius are Kha'Zix, Riven, Pyke, Jason, Ezreal, ranging from 61% for Ka down to 57% for Ezreal. In third place, we have an item that isn't so bad, it's just that it's almost always your last or second to last item, so it's rarely finished. Mercurial Scimitar is one of the 2 completed items that builds out a Quicksilver Sash. It has a 2.5% pick rate and a 60% win rate. The QSS is bought because it gives a cleanse effect, and it's often used by ADCs who will finish one into a Mercurial Scimitar as their last item. The Scimitar gives 40 attack damage, 20% crit chance, and 30% magic resist. But everyone wants it because of the active ability. Once every 90 seconds, you cleanse all crowd control, and you gain 50% move speed for 1 second. I can't tell you who the top 5 users of this item are because literally only 4 ADCs finish this item at statistically significant rates. Vayne, Kalista, Draven, and Samira, all with over 61% win rate, but Vayne is the highest, which makes sense since she has to get in close to do the dirty demon slaying work, and she snowballs really hard. Coming in at second, we have easily the most surprising item to me. The item with the second highest win rate in the game, and the second lowest pick rate. It's Warmog's Armor. Warmog's has a 2.5% pick rate and a 63% win rate. Take a moment and think about who you think the number 1 user of Warmog's is. If you had to guess a champion, who would it be? I guessed Sejuani. Maybe you guessed Ornn, or Cho'Gath, or Mundo. All good guesses, and also all wrong. The biggest user is Soraka. Yep, you heard me right. Warmog's clocks in as Soraka's 5th most picked item after her mythic is completed. For Sejuani, it's her 2nd most picked after her mythic. But Soraka is just so much more popular than any of the tank characters that her raw numbers make it number 1. Also, if you want to trigger a Reddit analyst, just mention Warmogs and Soraka and watch them froth at the mouth about how bad LS says it is. But it's actually one of her higher win rate second items at 65%. I guess if you want to index into max healing, it really works out and it makes Soraka tankier. Warmogs gives 10 ability haste, 800 hit points, 200% base health regen, and once you have 1100 bonus health, it has a unique passive that regens your health very quickly when you haven't taken damage for a few seconds. The top 5 highest win rate champs with Warmogs are Ornn, Cho'Gath, Zac, Mundo, and Soraka. all above 65%. And that leads us to our final entry, the most irrelevant item in the game, clocking in at only 0.4%, which, coincidentally, is the same number of people who are lifelong virgins. So this item has that in common with Genshin Impact players. The least played item in the game is Silvermere Dawn. If you've never heard of it, I wouldn't be that surprised. It's a QSS upgrade item, but it's made for bruisers. Silvermere Dawn gives you 40 attack damage, 300 health, and 30% magic resist. It has the same cleanse passive as Mercurial Scimitar, except instead of giving you bonus speed, it gives you 40% tenacity and slow resist for 3 seconds. The problem with Silvermere Dawn is the target audience. Bruisers are generally less concerned about one-time CC. They generally won't get blown up like an ADC or mage, but instead they would rather have tenacity as a long-term way to deal with CC. Silvermere Dawn has a 60% win rate, and its top 5 users are no one. Seriously, there isn't enough data for any single character who uses this. So I went on to search character by character that I thought might use the item, and I found Darius buys it as his 13th most popular 4th item, and he has a 62% win rate with it. So that's it for the 5 least popular items in League of Legends. Ranking data for this video was gathered from League of Items, which is a fantastic website if you want statistics on items outside of a single character page. If you enjoyed this video and want to encourage me to do more, I'd appreciate you subscribing to my channel. If you made it to the end and knew Silvermere Dawn was the least popular item in the game, please comment "I am a huge nerd" in the comments, and I'll hit you back with that creator heart. If you're a Genshin Impact fan and you are offended, please message me on Twitter at KevinHartForReal. See you guys next week.